Hey guys, we're cruising along here in chapter 10. Things are going well so far as I've seen from the assignments coming in. Moving into the next section here, 10.5, solving quadratic equations by completing the square. I'm going to pause the video right now, or I'm going to stop. You should pause the video though now and try to fill in our note sheet. See if you can figure out what are the methods we know so far for solving quadratic equations. We actually know the first three here so far, and then I'm going to fill in number 4 today by completing the square is going to be the new method. But see if you can figure out the other three just right now. Okay, I'm going to type them in, then you can fill them in on your notes. But see if you can do it yourself first. Okay, again, hopefully you tried to come up with them on your own. Better for your brain if you can figure them out as opposed to me just throwing them up here and then you writing them down. So hopefully you maybe come up with even a couple of these. That'd even be still a good thing. The first method we've learned so far to solve a quadratic equation is factoring. We did that all chapter 9. That's still going to be, as you find out and you go on in algebra and geometry and calculus, you still use factoring a fair amount, okay? Now, the only trouble with factoring, actually I'm going to write over here, and I'd like you to write with me too here. Just note that I'm going to put a big S with a circle. This means that this method only works sometimes, though. That's the only trouble. It's nice when we have something like we have on the right here and it actually works, and I can say, oh, x plus 1 and x plus 2 equals 0, and I can factor that problem I have on there. That's great, but not all problems factor. But it is one of the quicker ways to get to our answers when it does work, okay? Number 2, graphing. If I graph, remember that the x-intercepts of our graph, okay, based on how it's set up, the x-intercepts are usually the roots or the solutions to the equation. It's like putting 0 right in here for y and then trying to solve. And again, some problems factor, but some don't. That's the nice thing about graphing, is graphing always works, okay? It probably works a little easier when we have Desmos, but we can, of course, hand graph them too and find answers. But if you have a graphing calculator, then that's a nice way to find the answers, whether they are nice answers, and I mean that by integers, or whether they are irrational numbers, or you can see also if a graph doesn't have any solutions at all, right? Let me draw one more graph there on my mini grid. But what if it's a parabola facing upward like this, doesn't hit the x-axis, then it has no solutions. We could tell that by graphing. Factoring might be a little tougher to see that, but graphing will tell us that, okay? Good. Number 3 there, we've been working on the last couple of days, taking a square root. I've got a couple example problems over there, and you can imagine, I think I've mentioned this in the past couple of days too, this is another one that works sometimes. So it doesn't always work. We have to get something where it's set up, where I can just get x squared by itself, or even just get a square root set up by itself. So it works best sometimes. And a lot of times there's even a way I can kind of make it happen. But that's what we're going to talk about today, actually, with this completing the square. This completing the square is going to be another one that works all the time, but it can be a little messy, almost kind of like the graphing. There can be little glitches to it, but it will always work. So let me start talking about now completing the square and how it kind of ties in with taking a square root. We're going to set something up that helps us do something like the problems we've done the last couple days. And we call it completing the square. Let me show you. So the last couple days we've been solving problems like this, where I can use a square root because I have a binomial squared, okay? And that seems like kind of a particular situation, like, well, when am I going to come across that? And fair enough, you actually do a fair amount on problems that we try to solve, especially when they're quadratic. But as you can imagine, not all problems are set up like that. This process called completing the square is going to get us to that point. Now, I'm not completing the square on this particular page, but let me just kind of show you the steps that lead up to completing the square. Take a look at this first problem here, and notice how it has x plus 3 times x plus 3, that same binomial times itself, okay? When you see that, as we've started to been taught now, okay, as I've started to emphasize to you, oh, when I see it's the same binomial by itself, I can write that as x plus 3 squared, okay? And that would be equals 9, equals 9. And now I can do something where I can take a square root to both sides is what I can think. Again, we don't draw the sign in typically. There's a couple reasons for that, but just think. I'm taking the square root to both sides, and so this equals positive and negative 3, and I can keep going and find my answers, okay? So again, I'm just kind of showing you the setup steps. But what I want you to see is, oh, if we can get to something like this, well, then that can get us to the point where we can take a square root, okay? Now, along with that, one step before that would be this. What if I have a trinomial like this one over here, x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 81? A lot of times when we were solving by factoring, we try to get that 81 to the other side, so we set it equal to 0 and we factor, right? But this particular, as I'm going to call it, trinomial, right, these three terms, It's called a perfect square trinomial, and you have seen these before. We've slowly started to mention them. But why this is called a perfect square trinomial is because what happens when I try to factor this? Leave the 81 over here, but what happens when you try to factor this? X squared minus 10x plus 25. Well, I get x minus 5 and x minus 5. And that equals 81. And what do you know, though? Look at what I've got for the two binomials. I've got the same two binomials times themselves. So I can write that as x minus 5 squared equals 81. And now I can take a square root like we've done. This right here is called a perfect square trinomial. It comes about when I have a binomial times itself. It gives me the same thing. So here's another one, right? X plus 2 squared. Well, I could write that out as x plus 2 times x plus 2. And if I FOIL that out, that would give me x squared plus 4x plus 4. This is called a perfect square trinomial. It goes back to you guys, you know what perfect squares are, right? Perfect squares are when I have a number times itself. 7 squared is 7 times 7, which is 49. This is a perfect square number. This is a perfect square trinomial. When we can set these up right here in a problem, and I'm going to show you how, that's how this method of completing the square comes about. If there's a way we can set something like this up, where I can get a perfect square trinomial, I can factor it to those same two binomials, which then I can write as the binomial squared, and then I can use the methods like we used the previous couple days. Okay, so we've slowly been setting this process up, and today, though, don't worry. If it sounds like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on there, I'm going to show you how to set up a perfect square trinomial right now. Okay, so on this page, I'm going to show you how to make a perfect square trinomial, as it says up here. But what I would encourage you to do, just like we've done in the past, pause the video right now, and you see if you can figure it out. Because a lot of times every year, I'll start talking about this, and people make it, and it sounds like, oh my gosh, it's kind of complicated. How am I going to do it? But as soon as you see kind of there's a pattern to it, with how I can figure out how to make a particular trinomial, where it's going to factor to this binomial squared. Look at some of these problems down below, okay? It wants you to figure out this value of c, because in the equation when we actually use this to solve, that's the number we're going to need to know. And if we know that number, we can make a perfect square trinomial, and we can set everything else up. So again, pause it right now. See if you can figure out, if I have x squared plus 10x plus, what number would go right here that it would be a perfect square trinomial and factor to the same binomial squared, okay? So hopefully you've paused it and given it a shot. Again, otherwise it doesn't sink in as much, you guys. You have to do that. That makes your brain work on it, okay? That's your brain working. Otherwise, me just telling it to you, you won't remember it nearly as well as you trying to figure it out, okay? But here I'm going to help you right now in case you're still having trouble. I will help you, okay? The number you're looking for here is 25, okay? Let me write it out, and then maybe even that might give you an idea of how to figure this out. Take a look at, there's a pattern here in the numbers, okay? So 10x, or x squared plus 10x plus 25. On today's assignment, okay, there's a worksheet and some book problems. The book problems look exactly like this, okay, like all the examples I've got here. And I would encourage you, do those first. Do the book assignment first. Then go on to the worksheet, okay? The book assignment helps you get set up in terms of how to make a perfect square trinomial, okay? And once you can make those, then you can solve all the other problems. So take a look. I got 25 here. Maybe you can start to figure out what's the pattern that'll do this, because now look, I can factor this into x, oops, and not x squared, but I would factor this binomial to x plus 5 and x plus 5, and that would actually equal, as you should write for the problem, x plus 5 squared. Okay, let me do one more, and then I'll unveil the pattern here after this one. X squared minus 14x plus c. Again, you got to figure out what that c is. In this case, the number ends up being 49. Okay, and maybe this one will start to give it away. X squared minus 14x plus 49. That's because I can write this will factor to 49 has factors of 7 and 7, which add together to give me 14, right? So x minus 7 and x minus 7. And those I can write as x minus 7 squared, okay? Maybe you started to figure out the pattern. Maybe not. Here's the little formula, very little formula that will work for many of the problems I'll talk about in the future days. Or sometimes it doesn't work. But right now, here's the little formula. You take whatever b is, okay? B is that middle number right in our trinomial. you divide it by 2, and you square it, okay? And again, maybe some of you are starting to come up with that. But there's the pattern for how this works. I'm just going to do one more on this page just to give you the idea. Let me jump over to number 4, okay? 32 is B for this particular problem, right? If I divide that by 2, I get 16. 16 squared is 256. So x squared plus 32x plus 256, okay? And because that will factor to x plus 16 and x plus 16, which is the same as x plus 16 squared. Okay, I'm going to move on to my last slide just to kind of keep things rolling, and because I'm going to use it again on the next page and show you how we use this to set up completing the square and then solve a problem. So this process of completing the square, it says up here at the top, what we're doing is we add a constant to each side of the equation so that we can create a perfect square trinomial. I'm just going to do like 1 or 2 of these problems down below and then let you try it on the homework, and I will make another video of me kind of going through some of the homework problems to help you out. Okay, so maybe check that. If you still need more help, maybe this will be enough for you, but if not, then check on the other video I'm going to make too. Okay, so when we're completing the square, when we're using this fourth method, we actually want the equation set up like this. This is the easiest way I know how to set it up. Put the terms with x on one side and the constant all by itself on the other side, okay? Because what we do is just like on that previous page. Now we need to figure out what number can I add to both sides that'll make a perfect square trinomial on, in this case, the left side. We'll make one over here. This is like my b, because it's the term that has just x in, right? What number? I mean, if I divide that by 2 and I square it, and again, that will work right now for these problems. In the future, we'll find out there's a little more to it, but right now that'll work for us. B divided by 2 squared, that'd be 25. So here's what I need to do to use completing the square. I'm going to add 25 to both sides, okay? Add it just like we always have done, right? We draw our line, add 25 to this side, add 25 to that side, okay? Over here, now I just have x squared plus 10x plus 25, because I can't add it to any of those terms, okay? I'll try to write a little better here, guys. Sorry, okay? I'm still getting used to writing on an iPad. 25. Okay, there's my perfect, now I have a perfect square trinomial on the left side. That will factor nicely. On the right, I can add those constants, 39 and 25, which gives me 64, which is going to work out nice. You won't always get a nice number over here that's a perfect square, but if you do, we've dealt with that from the previous days. Then I'll just square root it and round to the nearest hundredth, okay, when I get to that point. But right now, it's 64. Good, that's exactly what I want, because this side will factor to x plus 5 and x plus 5, which would be x plus 5 squared equals 64. And again, I'm going to kind of, I'll finish this one up, but I'm not going to finish all these problems because at this point, I know you've done this the last couple days. Now what do? Bring it down here because I got a little more room. I square root both sides. I've got x plus 5 equals positive or negative 8. And now I can subtract 5 from both sides to move it over. So I have x by itself, negative 5 equals x equals negative 5 plus or minus 8. I take the high road and the low road. I'll get negative 13 and positive 3 as my answers. Okay, there's us completing the square. But again, realize the new part is really just at the top, the part where I have to add something to both sides. We've done factoring, and you've done this where you've solved using a square root for a while. So once you get to that first part, though, then you're home free. Then if you've been doing the homework from the previous days, then that should help. Okay, I'll do one other one here. Let me do, let's say number 4. I'll jump down to that one. Okay, so number 4. Again, this is my B right here. This one is set up right. I'll just mention number 3 quickly. If it's not set up where you have the 2x terms by themselves on the one side, well, then I just got to add the 161 to the right side. Okay. And once it's over there, then I can do the same thing as the one above. But I think this is the way you want to set these up for completing the square. Get the x terms on one side, the constant on the other. Okay? So this one's right. Number 4. B is 18. So remember, it's b divided by 2 and then square it. 18 divided by 2 would be 9. 9 is going to be 81. So I'm going to add 81, okay, 81 to both sides of this equation. 81, okay? Over here, I'm going to get x squared plus 18x plus 81. And on the right side, I get, I think it's 16. Okay, when I add the 81 and negative 65. Yep, 16. Okay, which again works out nice. Just note, I'm just gonna change it for a second here, that you can get an answer that's, let's just change it for a second. Let's say it's 20. Okay, that's totally okay. That will happen sometimes. You won't always get a perfect square number over there. I'm gonna keep going with 20 just to show you what would happen here. Okay, good. Next thing now. I'm going to factor what's I have on the left side because it's a perfect square trinomial. It gives me x plus 9 and x plus 9, or x plus 9 squared. Okay, and that would equal 20 still. I haven't done a square root. I'm just factoring to get it to the point where I can square root it now. Okay, I take the square root of both sides. I get x plus 9 equals positive or negative square root of 20. And now I can subtract the 9 from both sides. I can slide it in front on the right side there. X equals negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 20. I'm going to cover in the next video. There's some things we can actually do with the square root of 20 besides just figuring out what it is and rounding to the nearest hundredth. There's another way we can deal with these square roots too. But otherwise, if you wrote this on your paper for now, I'd be very happy. Okay, you'd be off doing all the things right for completing the square. Okay. You guys definitely, again, I've had students now starting to Zoom me every day as we get more and more into this distance learning, and you guys need to too as well. Again, I've invited all of you, so if you need some help, Zoom me. I can help you with a particular problem. I can help a few of you if you need, but you have to do that, okay, especially as you're having trouble, or at least if nothing else, discussion board, or email me, and I can help you from there too, all right? Good luck. Try today's assignment, and again, if you still need more help, I'm going to do a few of the homework problems on the next video, on the extra video that's on the post, okay? All right, good luck, guys. Be well.